I'm a big rooter for CNN, but that tells you a lot, doesn't it? I mean, how do you guys think you are doing in that arena of like, this is a terribly divided country. We're not only politicized, a lot of people just hate the other side. And CNN, in my view, should be the place where both sides can watch. How do you think you're doing with it?
CNN is the place where both sides can watch. And I think, my show is evidence of that. We have lawmakers on from both parties. We'll have Elizabeth Warren on one night. We'll have Ted Cruz on another night. I think lawmakers from both parties should take questions and you should push.
Bill Maher did it again. Kaitlan Collins, CNN's self-styled voice of reason, walked straight into the lion's den and, no surprise, got shredded. Maher didn't just question her wokeness and political bias, he picked it apart piece by piece, leaving her scrambling for a response. It was brutal, it was funny, and frankly, long overdue. If you thought Maher was finished calling out media hypocrisy, think again. This was a master class. It all began with that short clip.
On the freeze in federal funding, who advised the president on the legality of telling government agencies that they don't have to spend money that was already appropriated by Congress?
Well, as the OMB memo states, this is certainly within the confines of the law. So White House counsel's office believes that this is within the president's power.
Bill Maher has clearly had enough of the left's meltdown over Kaitlan Leavitt. Ever since she became White House press secretary, the attacks haven't stopped. From the View panel to CNN's frontliners Jim Acosta and Kaitlan Collins, the strategy is the same: corner her with gotcha questions and hope she slips. In the clip, Kaitlan Collins pressed Trump's decision to fire several prosecutors, a move well within presidential authority. She knew it. Everyone knew it. But she asked anyway, hoping for a stumble. Spoiler, Kaitlan Leavitt didn't flinch. She fired back with a clear, no-nonsense answer. Collins doubled down, and that's where things unraveled.
I disagree with lawmakers who say that they don't have the power to freeze this funding.
Again, I would point you to the language in the memo that clearly states this is within the law.
And all that happened on Friday night. The administration fired several inspectors general without giving Congress the 30-day legally required notification that they were being fired. I think only 2 were left at DHS and the DOJ. And then yesterday we saw several prosecutors, I believe 12, fired from the Justice Department who worked on the investigations into the president. As you know, they are career prosecutors, therefore they are afforded civil service protections. How is the administration deciding which laws to follow and which ones to ignore?
So it is the belief of this White House and the White House counsel's office that the president was within his executive authority to do that. He is the executive of the executive branch, and therefore he has the power to fire anyone within the executive branch that he wishes to. There's also a case that went before the Supreme Court in 2020, Scala Law LLC versus the Customs, Bureau Protection. I would advise you to look at that case, and that's the legality that this White House.
You can see why Bill Maher was irritated. The hypocrisy from the left pushed him to go on the offensive. Meanwhile, Kaitlan Collins stuck to her usual rapid-fire, loaded question routine, that familiar gotcha tone meant to confuse and corner. But Kaitlan Leavitt saw it coming. Beneath all the word salad, the issue was simple. Was it legal for Trump to fire DOJ prosecutors? Leavitt didn't just respond, she shut it down. Yes, it was legal. Executive authority. Case closed. But Collins kept pushing, drifting into ethics talk and vague bigger-picture arguments. Leavitt, calm and steady, delivered a textbook example of dismantling a shaky narrative with straightforward facts.
If they bring lawsuits against you, those prosecutors who were fired, that they will succeed.
We will win in court,
And
yes.
Did he personally direct this, given they worked on the classified documents investigation and the election interference investigation?
This was a memo that went out by the Presidential Personnel Office, and the president is the leader of this White House.
Kaitlan Leavitt's composure stood out. While Kaitlan Collins kept firing increasingly tangled questions, Leavitt never took the bait. She sliced through the noise, focused on the core issue, and repeated the same grounded answer: it was legal, plain and simple. More importantly, she exposed the playbook. Collins wasn't chasing clarity, she was fishing for a viral soundbite. Leavitt made sure the only clip worth airing was the truth. It was a clinic in handling media pressure with calm confidence. Still, Bill Maher had seen enough. Believing the young press secretary was being unfairly targeted, he stepped in, starting by setting a trap of his own.
Big rooter for CNN, but that tells you a lot, doesn't it? I mean, how do you guys think you were doing in that arena of like, this is a terribly divided country. We're not only politicized, a lot of people just hate the other side. And CNN, in my view, should be the place where both sides can watch. How do you think?
CNN loves to market itself as neutral, just the facts, no agenda, but critics argue that image cracks under scrutiny. The network is often seen as leaning left, reflected in its framing, guest selection, and questioning style. Bill Maher clearly understands that dynamic and moved to flip the script on Kaitlan Collins. She began with familiar PR language, insisting CNN is fair and balanced and hosts voices from across the spectrum. To prove it, she cited appearances by Ted Cruz and Elizabeth Warren. But Maher's counterpoint was obvious. A few examples don't establish balance. One green grape doesn't turn a bowl into a fruit salad. Collins' defense came off weak, and Maher pressed the advantage.
Conservative in America, and I'm watching CNN, just for the straight middle of the road. That's what I hear for 15 minutes, it's great, and then Lonely Scott. It does look, I mean, and when you see the path, it does look like tokenism. It's kind of like the same as The View. It's like it's almost better to have nobody there, like MSNBC, than to have this.
Bill Maher argued that token appearances don't prove neutrality, they highlight the opposite. In his view, occasionally showcasing a conservative voice while maintaining a dominant slant can look more performative than balanced. He criticized CNN and Kaitlan Collins for what he framed as optics over substance, saying conservatives on the network are often treated more like sparring partners than equal participants. His broader warning, perceived bias, especially when paired with claims of neutrality, can deepen public distrust. Still, despite Maher's pushback, critics of Karoline Leavitt didn't ease up. They intensified their efforts to corner her.
IG report from the Social Security Administration, there was $71 billion worth of fraud in one single fiscal year that we know about. And so that is a lot of fraud, Peter.
To be clear, that $71 billion was from 2015 to 2022, so it wasn't in just 1 year. And it was
$71 billion.
But it wasn't in 1 year, just over multiple years from 2015 to 2022.
So are you defending $71 billion in fraud, Peter? That's a lot of money. Why is the media so against cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from the government? I don't get it.
I just want to ask a question.
We won't be deterred. We will not be deterred from people like you.
Karoline Leavitt dropped a headline-grabbing claim. The Trump administration had uncovered roughly $70 billion in fraud and was preparing to act. But things got messy when she appeared to suggest the figure came from a single fiscal year. The press jumped on it immediately, sensing a classic gotcha moment. Leavitt, however, didn't retreat. Staying calm, she flipped the pressure back. Are you really defending tens of billions in fraud against the American people? The room went quiet. Just like that, the focus shifted from a verbal slip to the media's priorities. Critics kept circling, determined to claw back the narrative.
Wasn't true, which is, you said that they have found before that they believe there have been tens of millions of people who are receiving money who are dead on the Social Security list. The same report that you referred to said that almost none of those individuals are receiving
Peter, did you watch the full clip of the interview that I did when I said that? And I said there are a lot of unanswered questions, and we suspect there could be tens of millions of people.
I'm saying the IG report
so you just said what I said is not true. In fact, it was true. That's a suspicion that this administration...
The next attempted gotcha followed the same script. Reporters pushed hard, eager for a viral clip, but overlooked a key detail. Karoline Leavitt had said there was suspected fraud in the Social Security system, not proven fraud. Still, some outlets treated it as a definitive claim. Leavitt coolly corrected the record, stressing that investigations were ongoing. Then she pressed the sharper point. Why the obsession with twisting her words instead of examining potential fraud affecting Americans? The pushback frustrated Bill Maher, who soon turned his fire on Kaitlan Collins and others in the press.
Alabama. I'm from a very red state. I have a very conservative family, a lot of them who are Trump voters. They watch my show every night, and I think they know that they can trust me, that, you know, we call bullshit on every side, not just whatever leaning our audience may be. And I think that's something that people actually want more.
Bill Maher didn't just disagree, he pushed back hard. He argued that being from a conservative state like Alabama doesn't automatically prove neutrality. What matters, he said, is consistent, fair reporting. In his view, Kaitlan Collins' appeal to her background and Republican family missed the point. Viewers, Maher suggested, judge coverage by patterns, framing, questioning style, and editorial tone, not by personal biography. Once the discussion moved from personal anecdotes to reporting track records, Collins' defense looked thin. Meanwhile, Karoline Leavitt continued sparring with other reporters.
Also want to thank you tonight, Sean, for fact-checking James Carville for the lies that he pushed on your program last week. Unfortunately, James represents the deranged and out-of-touch Democrat Party who continue to deny the reality that this country loves Donald Trump. And in fact, President Trump is enjoying his highest approval rating from the American people than he ever has, despite the years of lies, smears, and witch hunts by the Democrat Party. The Harvard-Harris poll today is incredible. When you look issue by issue, the vast majority of the American people support what President Trump is doing.
Through the ongoing media clashes, Karoline Leavitt has remained composed under pressure. Her latest critic, James Carville, the veteran Democratic strategist. Leavitt dismissed his commentary as more partisan spin than objective analysis. She argued that while Carville fixates on Trump, he overlooks problems within his own political camp. Supporters say this willingness to counterattack is exactly why many in legacy media find her difficult to pin down. At the same time, the broader media landscape has been shifting, with some high-profile hosts facing program changes, including Joy Reid, and commentators like Megyn Kelly weighing in.
News tonight will be Joy Reid's final show on MSNBC. Single tear, white woman tears happening right here, Joy. She was officially fired over the weekend because she's a racist, horrible news anchor with no ratings. And that's really been the truth for a long time. MSNBC's under new management, and I guess they decided to come to grips with reality. The truth is, this is very sad news for us, as she's provided so much material over the years. I feel the way I felt when Brian Stelter got fired, but he came back, and you never know. I'm sure Joy Reid will wind up doing something where we will continue to get to respond to her absolutely insane.
Some observers argue that growing segments of the television audience have become increasingly skeptical of strongly opinion-driven news coverage, especially in an era when media trust is already under strain. Joy Reid has frequently been at the center of that debate, often serving as a lightning rod for criticism from viewers who believe her commentary crosses from analysis into advocacy. Critics have pointed to several of her past on-air remarks as examples of what they see as overly partisan framing, while her supporters maintain that she is simply offering sharp political commentary in a highly polarized environment. Reports about adjustments to her role at MSNBC have only intensified the conversation, with media analysts speculating about whether networks are responding to audience fatigue with overtly ideological programming. Some industry watchers interpret these shifts as early signs of a broader recalibration within cable news, as executives weigh ratings pressures against brand identity. Others argue the changes are routine programming decisions being overinterpreted through a political lens. Still, the discussion surrounding Joy Reid highlights a wider tension in modern broadcast journalism: the balance between opinion, analysis, and straight reporting. For networks competing in a fragmented media landscape, maintaining credibility while keeping audiences engaged has become an increasingly delicate equation. Whether these programming moves represent a lasting strategic pivot or simply short-term course correction remains a subject of ongoing debate among media observers.
Just wanted to end today's show by thanking all of the wonderful people who work behind the scenes at this network. You may have seen some reports about me and the show, and after giving all of this some careful consideration and weighing an alternative time slot CNN offered me, I've decided to move on. I am grateful to CNN for the nearly 18 years I've spent here.
Another figure frequently mentioned in these debates is Jim Acosta of CNN, whose on-air presence during the Trump years made him one of the most recognizable correspondents in political media. After years in the spotlight, his role at the network evolved, sparking fresh commentary across the media and political landscape. Critics argue that Acosta's style at times felt overly performative and confrontational, while supporters counter that he consistently pressed tough questions when they mattered most. The divide in perception reflects the broader polarization shaping how audiences interpret modern journalism. Meanwhile, voices like Bill Maher continue to criticize what they see as excess and theatricality in today's political coverage. His critiques resonate with viewers who feel cable news has drifted too far toward personality-driven conflict. Others, however, believe the current media climate simply reflects the intensity of the political moment. Whether these tensions signal a lasting cultural shift or just another cycle in cable news remains an open question. What is certain is that the debate over media tone, trust, and credibility is far from settled. And with that, we wrap today's breakdown. If you found this analysis useful, consider liking the video and subscribing for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.